Hello folks, Ms. Javner here. This video is for if you missed both days of the paper towel experiment and you need a procedure and data. So in this lab, our paper towel lab, our question was what paper towel brand is the best? The ones we have to work with are Bounty. This one is called Hilliard Green Select. And then this last one is called Viva. So we have 3 brands and we're trying to figure out what is the best. In class, we talked about what the best could mean. We talked about being strong, not ripping when it's wet, being able to pick up a lot of liquid, being able to pick up different liquids, that sort of thing. So I am going to be testing the absorbency of the paper towels, so how much water they can pick up, to determine what brand is the best. So when we're thinking about our experiment plan, the first, again, the characteristic we're going to measure to determine the best paper towel is its absorbency, or how much water it can absorb. So right now I'm answering these experiment plan questions, and it might be helpful for you to write these down in your notebook. So the second question is, how will I test this in the lab? So in the lab, I'm going to need a sheet square of each paper towel. So one thing that I notice is that my paper towels are not the same size. So we are going to want to, here we go. Ooh, can you see? Make sure that the paper towel squares that I'm testing are all the same size, so that is not a factor in determining which paper towel is best. Then I'm going to want to spill some water. So here I have a graduated cylinder. I'm going to choose an amount of water. It doesn't really matter, so I'll just choose 15 milliliters. I will fill that up with water, and then I'll go ahead and I'll dump it on the lab table. So that'll be my procedure. But I'm trying to figure out how much water it soaks up. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to get the mass of this dry paper towel before, using the balance, soak up the water, and then mass it after again to see how much liquid or how much water was added to the paper towel. That will be the quantitative data that I collect. So I'll be getting the mass before, mass after, and then finding that change in mass or how much water it absorbed. The qualitative data that I'm going to want to get is going to be looking at these paper towels. What do they feel like? What's their texture? What are their patterns that I see on them? So really just thinking about the quality and the texture of these paper towels. And again, the variables I will keep constant in each trial will be the size of the paper towel, the amount of liquid spilled, and the type of liquid spilled. So this will just be water in all 3 trials. So before we begin, let's take a moment to set up our data table. So the first thing you'll want to have is the brand. That will be a column that we'll have. We are going to want to collect the mass before in grams. We are going to collect the mass after in grams to find the change in mass. Okay. So this is all of my quantitative data. It's going to be my measurements and it's going to have numbers. This one, the change in mass, is going to be the really important one because this is going to tell me about the absorbency, how much water it soaks up. The last thing you want to record is going to be those observations. sorry for my in the way, observations. That will be your qualitative data. Okay. So that's where you're going to want to record information about the texture, the feel, the thickness, etc. So again, the 3 brands we're going to test are going to be Viva is going to be the first brand we are going to test. Then we are going to test Bounty. And finally, we are going to be testing the Hillyard. Oops, sorry, I'll show it in a second. Hillyard brand. Sorry for my video skills. So those are the 3 brands, and again, our data table. So before you move on, set that up in your notebook. All right, so in this last video, I'm just going to briefly demonstrate the procedure and then show you the data that I get. So again, my first brand is Viva. So I have my square of Viva. That is the same as all the other squares. Here I have the balance. So this is what I'm going to use to get the mass. So I'm going to take the dry paper towel and I'm going to set it on the scale. In my notebook, I will record the mass, which is 2.33 grams. So the mass before was 2.33 grams. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my graduated cylinder and I'm going to fill it with some water. We said that we're going to fill it to 15. This number doesn't really matter. The main thing is that we want to keep it the same every single trial. So I have my graduated cylinder filled up to 15. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just spill the water. And then I'm going to take my paper towel and I am going to attempt to soak it up. I'm going to get as much as I can. And then I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to put it back on the balance. And I'm going to record the mass after, which is 11.3 grams. So from that information, I can take the mass after minus the mass before to find the change in mass, which is about 9 grams. The other thing, so then I'm going to repeat this experiment with Bounty and Hillyard. After this is done, you are going to want to record all of this data in your notebook. The other thing you're going to want to do is in class, you're going to want to see me to get a sample of each one of these paper towels because I want you to collect the qualitative data on your own. So I will have you take home 3 paper towels or do this in class so that you can get your qualitative data. And then when you're all ready, you'll be able to do this part of our summative assessment. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. So here's the data for your experiment. So please take a moment to pause this video and record the quantitative data for each paper towel. Then again, you are going to be collecting the qualitative data about its feel, texture, thickness. So make sure you get some paper towels from me in class. So here's your quantitative data for each of the 3 brands.